So quick show of hands, how many people here are representing a challenger brand? Or your brand is okay, great. Yeah, in some cases everyone can become a challenger brand. So we're very excited today. We're going to talk about embracing the challenger mindset to meet consumer demands. At home, my wife and I, we have 2 toddlers who are constantly challenging us. So I find this to be a very interesting topic because we're always looking to meet their demands. My name is Karchawer. I am the VP of Sales for a company called Emodo. We're an Ericsson company, and we're focused on harnessing data to help brands deliver results on digital ad campaigns. In addition to that, I also started a charity organization called Pay Away the Layaway about 10 years ago. And we basically raise money, and during the holidays we go into stores and surprise families and pay off their layaway balances with gifts for kids. So those are my 2 passions in life, and in addition to my kids. And in both cases, we're challengers, right? We're looking to knock down the doors of companies that are more established, figure out how we can make our way in. So I'm very excited today to introduce an amazing panel. We have some incredible speakers here today, all representing some amazing challenger brands. So I'd like each one of you to introduce yourself and your company. And a fun question, if you could be any member of a band, what role of that band would you be?
That's a great question. Hey everyone, my name is Bunmi, Familoni, the N is silent in my name. To answer that question first, so fun fact, I was voted best dancer in high school, so I would definitely be a backup dancer. I think it's my second calling. I'm director of growth at a company called Quip. It's an oral care company. It's about 8 years old. Very, very small, about 170 employees. I started my career at big companies. I worked at Reckitt for about 10 years. I did a stint in pharma at Novartis, and then Quip. So I like to say, I went from 100,000 employees to 170. And it's been quite a journey. And I would look at the word challenger a lot differently than I did before, having worked at a company, at a startup.
Hi everyone. Oops. There we go. I'm Monica. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Wisp. We are a challenger brand in the women's healthcare space. Today we are the largest provider of sexual and reproductive telehealth services in the country. What we do is we provide on-demand prescriptions for common vaginal infections. So think UTIs, yeast infections, BB. In the reproductive health category, we also offer birth control, emergency contraception, and medication abortion services. At the end of the day, we are on a mission to destigmatize and democratize sexual health care for all. It's great to be here. And to answer your question, I would be the choreographer in the band, so dynamic duo over here. I was in a Bollywood dance group in college, and I'm still working actually on Blue Ivy's dance. I don't know if you guys have been following that TikTok trend. It's very tough, but that's my goal for the next month to nail that one. And I do have a video. I don't know if you want to show it now or at the end. Yeah, no, not of that, but of
Yeah, can we show the video?
just to give you guys a flavor of who we are and what we do.
Time to change. I grew up with 6 sisters, so I know all about the hoo-ha, the Wolverine, rose petals, Mother Nature, the Happy Daisy, Aphrodite's purse, the beaded clam, the pink clam, whatever you want to call it. Now I have 3 daughters, so my wealth of knowledge is grandiose at this point. My middle daughter, Sophia, comes to me and says she wants to get on birth control. I don't freak out. I say, get on with it. My oldest daughter gets a UTI. I didn't freak out. She was obviously dehydrated. I told her to get on Wisp. My youngest daughter comes up to me. I'm listening to 3 Dog Night, right? She has an itch she's ashamed to scratch. I said, hey, why are you ashamed? You gotta take care of that. You got a yeast infection, kid. Get on Wisp. We can't whisper about these things anymore. Be loud about it. Get on Wisp.
So that's Wisp.
Pure audio.
That's a tough act to follow. But my name is Routel, and I'll start with answering the question first. So I would be the keyboardist because I studied piano when I was younger. So that's the role I would play with the band. But my career, it's taken a unique turn. So I have returned back to my roots with health and wellness. So I started my career as a research scientist in the pharmaceutical industry. And then I went to business school, made a career transition, and I've been a marketing strategist at various companies in various industries. So currently I have 2 jobs. I am the pricing marketing strategy lead at Verizon, and then I'm also the strategy advisor for BioOx. So BioOx, it's a very unique new biotechnology company. And I also do have a video if we do want to play it, but it's new in its category, and it's founded by a renowned research scientist here. His name is Sam, and he worked in Nobel Prize winning lab and has many patents and publications, and the whole basis of BioOx is the science of oxygen, and he discovered ROX. So ROX is applied to a whole family of products within BioOx. And here you'll see, this is the story. One of our products is canine biooxygen, and it helps with cancer in pet patients.
We discovered Central Park for her in the morning, because she can be all foolish up until 9 o'clock in the morning. She used to run with the greyhound and catch with them for hours. So she was very, very, very happy. She loved to run. She brings a lot of joy and happiness to a lot of people who see her. I saw the bump, and I saw and understood that something was wrong. We took her to the doctor. He gave us the answer that she has a very aggressive cancer, sarcoma. There was a very, very rapid deterioration. She lost weight. She lost her appetite almost completely. She was suffering with all this pain. At one point I heard about, from mutual friends of mine, I heard about some kind of supplement that if she takes it, it could be a very good result.
Bio-oxygen is a kind of a bound oxygen, such that the bundles of oxygen that are made can go in the water of your body to where it's needed. Oxygen does not dissolve in water. So organisms actually bundle it up, and they bind it to where it's like an oxygen bullet, and that can go into water, and that can go anywhere it's needed, for example, like to fight cancer.
To be honest, at first I was extremely skeptic. I did not trust that. But I said, what the hell, I have nothing to lose. That's a good girl, Lexi. Yeah, good girl.
So when, in this particular case, the dog is drinking some of this beverage, the bio-oxygen microorganisms go into the gut, and they keep detoxifying the body from the gut. And the activated white blood cells go into the blood, and they keep working to fight the cancer from the blood standpoint.
At first, she felt much better. She got much more happier. She started to move.
After she had the 12 servings in 12 days, the owner brought her back because he wanted more. And so he had another set of 12 servings, and this time he started doubling up on the servings, 2 a day. And within the 3rd day, she started eating on her own. This was the first time she started eating on her own in 2.5 weeks. And she even ate the cat's food.
She became back to herself. She was happy.
I love Lexi.
She was tagging at Tel. She was saying hi to people. She was more interested in saying hi to dogs.
That's an incredible story, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that video with us. So, question for the group. How would you define, so we're talking about embracing the challenger mindset, how would you define that in the business?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think the way I would define challenger pretty simply is operating from a scarcity mindset, being hungry. I think we heard it earlier, this polite persistence. I would call that grit. I would call that being scrappy. And I think when you operate from a lack, you do things that you wouldn't do when things are in abundance. You'll call the buyer, you'll go to the office, and if you apply that same thinking to paid media or creative, you'll iterate really fast, you'll take risks, you'll mine for insights in places maybe where you wouldn't. So that's, in my mind, what that is.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that, and I would just add that for me, the challenger mindset is being bold in the pursuit of marrying purpose with passion, and really building your own playbook. You can take notes from others, but for me, a challenger brand is a trailblazer in an industry that thinks differently and grows a category differently.
I would say a challenger mindset really focuses on solving problems, and it really returns back to what is your mission statement. And so specifically for BioOx, it's about transforming lives and improving the quality of your life, and that led to the new product category and then various customer segments, but always returning back to what is the customer's pain point and then providing the solution.
Yeah, and Monica, I know you spent a lot of time at Lyft, Simple Health, obviously now Wisp. I'm curious, what are some good examples of strategies that you've seen companies deploy successfully when it comes to embracing?
Yeah, I think I would point to one word. It's courage. Having the courage to say and do things that nobody else wants to. In our case at Wisp, we were the first brand to get approval on using the medical term vagina on a subway ad in New York City and in Times Square. And that was really important to us from a patient-first perspective, and being able to speak to our patients using medical language and serving and ultimately serving them better. At Lyft, we very much did the same thing. I don't know if you recall a TV spot back in the day where there were many executives in black suits in a boardroom scheming how they were going to take over the rideshare industry. And that was an ad that we produced. A lot of agencies told us, it's risky. I wouldn't sign off on this, but we did it anyways, and then we saw the benefits of that. So yeah, it comes down to courage and not being afraid to really put your brand out there and to stand behind your mission. As we were talking about mission, it really comes down to that and living and breathing that every day.
Bunmi, so you spent almost about 10 years at Reckitt, and then now you've been almost a year at Quip. I'm curious, we talked a lot about speed being an important factor for the challenger mindset. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know we also had an off conversation about how they got started in podcasts. I love if you can add that as a key part of the answer.
Yeah, I remember in my days at Reckitt when it came to producing advertising with the TV commercial. This time, this summer, around this time of the year, I'd be making my plans for 2024 at Reckitt. Whereas at Quip, I'm still planning for what I'm doing next month. And we would do so much research in that's hypothetical. So we would do the link test, we would do the conjoint, we would do the qual, and we would do the quant. And I find there's a role for that still, but I find at Quip it's more about real world evidence. It's more about get it to a good place, ship it, try it, test it. Because there's so much survey bias. Sometimes someone will tell you, oh, I try your product, but something happens differently in real life when they're bombarded with ads and whatnot. And so I find I test more in the wild, and I react much quicker. Sometimes I make ads. We have an in-house team, we have agencies, but sometimes I get my hands dirty and make ads as well. So I think speed is definitely a big change, and there's a mindset of doing things fast and not perfect sometimes.
Impact over perfection. It's one of our core values.
So Lisa, your time, kind of in a similar fashion, your time at Verizon versus BioOx, kind of that paradox. Curious if there's any, from your experience advising, any particular challenges or pitfalls that companies that are kind of trying to embrace the challenger mindset can think about as they go through from a standpoint?
Well, I think a mindset to have is almost like the David and Goliath example, where I think startups by nature are innovators, are disruptors, and they naturally fit into that challenger mindset. And I see that firsthand with BioOx, and even developing creative and messaging, and again, leading with rocks and educating customers. What is that? What does that mean? And even expanding new products and new categories to whole new segments. So we have segments for various ailments. It's backed by research studies at various medical schools and research universities, so pain studies, hepatitis C, and you just see that growth and innovation and quick to market. You can get things out the door, whereas with something of the size of Verizon, a Fortune 20 company, you see a direct impact with millions of consumers. On the flip side is that it's more sluggish, and you just don't have that nimble nature. So I think a challenger mindset is just a natural fit for a smaller startup, but again, keeping with that intention of you want to continue to grow, but continue to have that innovative mindset.
I think you have anything to add on that, like other challenges or pitfalls?
Yeah, I would just add that, as an underdog, often our budgets are much smaller than some of the more established players. And one of the ways that we've been able to sort of get around that has been in partnering with other brands, even if they might be competitors in this space, to really align ourselves around a movement. And in our case, it's a movement around women's health. And we found that that has been a very effective way to scale and improve our brand awareness while also just boosting the entire category. And so I would say, don't think of it, partnership in black and white terms. There's a big pie to be had, and at the end of the day, if you think about the patients that we're all serving, we're driving value for them.
One thing that sparks for me is, we heard it earlier, I think it was from Denise talking about the importance of organic social. And especially when you don't have a lot of money, organic social is free. And I think what I see from a lot of challengers is a real focus on community. I remember talking to a couple of founders last week who were responding to every single comment from every single person that messaged them or DM'd them. And not just the standard things that you see from big brands like, oh, I'm sorry you had a bad experience, here's our customer service number. But authentic, like, I hear you and I see you, and here's a recommendation for another product. So I think when you have less paid media budget, you're almost forced to look to do other things. And I think focusing on community is one thing that really scales. Like, organic content can be used for paid media, but the cheapest form of consumer acquisition is word of mouth. And I think you create ambassadors by creating really good connections with your consumers. And the closest place you can do that is on your social media channels.
Yeah, in our case, we've built community by really leaning into humor, as you guys saw in the video. It's a great way to cut through and also just help destigmatize a lot of these issues that have been stigmatized for far too long. And I think a lot of consumers can identify with that.
Also, for BioOx, we don't have a huge paid media budget, and it is focusing on creating community with those testimonials. So we do have multiple videos that are testimonials and then backing up and showcasing and educating customers on the science. And also meeting customers where they are and having experiential type of marketing events, because we don't have those budgets, but we are going to be a vendor at a top fitness competition, or be a vendor at top races and marathons, those type of things. So again, really having customers experience your product firsthand, because it is new, it's a brand new category, and then you can overcome that hurdle, that knowledge gap.
So there's a great quote that says, every champion was once a challenger. And along that line, when we spoke prior to the panel today, you all talked about the importance of partnership and collaboration with others in the industry. Can you touch a little bit on that and how each of your companies thinks about that?
I think it's very important, as I mentioned earlier. Just this week, actually, we partnered with a number of brands to file a complaint with the FTC against Meta's implementation of unfair healthcare advertising policy. This complaint was filed on Monday, and that's a great example of how when we band together, we can actually have a really big impact on the advertising landscape at large. When you look at an ED ad that gets approved in 2 seconds versus an ad for UTI medication that gets rejected in 2 seconds, it's very clear that the playing field is still very much uneven. And so there's an opportunity from a partnership perspective to actually change the policy landscape and make advertising a more equal playing field so that challenger brands can continue to do the work that we need to do.
Yeah, building on what Monica said before about challengers taking risks, particularly being bold, one thing that Quip has focused on since every year for the past 8 years is a relationship with the LGBT community. And so June is a huge month for us with Pride, and we do more than just change our icons to rainbows. We create products, we feature employees from that community in the advertising, we make a donation on every purchase to specific organizations, like now we focus with organizations out in the South and Midwest because they're going through some real-time problems that are unique to those areas. And that's not only just because it's doing good, but we've found allies who can help promote us in established connections and communities. So we partnered with a TikTok channel called The Old Gays. They have 11 million followers. Yeah, they do a lot of dances, a lot of funny stuff. And to the point of allowing an influencer to tell your story, the brief wasn't so specific. It said, you have an audience for a reason, but please help us tell our story, be fun, have fun with it. And you can see really the difference in our trajectory in terms of traffic, in terms of sales, in terms of real impact and engagement with the community when a piece of content that resonates really hits. And that's something that you can't always do as a brand, and which is why partnering, whether it's with individuals, creators, or others, you establish more credibility, but also new reach and new audiences.
And for us, we are a biotechnology company, and regarding partnerships, I think a major component of health and wellness in general is trust, is validity, and we've partnered with multiple medical schools, multiple research universities for various studies. So we are expanding our reach and our use cases for specifically BioOxygen, our water supplement, and we have a whole family line of products. And referring back to those studies, customers naturally realize that they do have a trust. It is a unique type of technology, and it really goes hand in hand with health and wellness.
Well, we should definitely chat after this because I think there might be some applications to women's health. So happy to help you guys spread the word in our community.
Great. So let's thank you panel. Let's open it up for questions.
I don't need a microphone. Yeah. I'm good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So we talked about you guys are challenging and you're able to iterate quickly, and you should, because you're a challenging brand. For each of you, maybe if one person has a particular story, maybe you take it off, but was there a moment when you were after a lot of iteration, something clicked in, and you're this is our thing, we're doubling down on this, and you kind of see an explosion of growth or engagement after?
Yeah, the one comes to mind is for me. In terms of our paid media creative, when I joined, we were kind of all over the place. We had this content, we had this product, that product, and with my brand management background, it was very much back to the strategy, back to the consumer. What do we stand for? How do we show that in our advertising? And so what I heard from a lot of people, anecdotally, who use Quip, is, oh, Quip is an awesome travel toothbrush. I love it for travel. I have a different toothbrush for home, but it's so slim, it looks great. And of course, in our consumer research, that's not the #1 thing that comes up. But as I heard from friends, as I started digging in reviews, a lot of people said, you guys are a really good travel toothbrush. And so why not try to own that? And so I made a shift in our advertising. I said, we're not going to do all the generic ads. Let's create travel content that looks real. Not people saying, hey, this is the best travel toothbrush ever, but show it in your travel routine. Show you packing it. Show you going to a cool destination and how it made it more fun. And as soon as we made that switch, so that started for the summer, I said, let's be the travel toothbrush of the summer. Our acquisition costs on TikTok reduced 60% in 8 weeks. And it's really a function, not of budget, it's about engagement, right? It's one piece of content that hits can do so much for you with the same budget. And I think that's what you have to do as a challenger. Budgets, it's hard to get more money for anyone, but especially as a challenger. And you have to do more with the same or do more with less. And finding the right content is the way to unlock that in my mind.
Yeah, I would totally agree. That video that you guys saw earlier, that was a really big unlock moment for us as a brand when we really leaned into humor, and it's a series. There are a series of 10 different videos, and we've used that content across all of our channels. We've recently invested in CTV and streaming audio, and that has been a really big sort of hockey stick moment of growth for us in terms of putting Wisp on the map and also seeing the bottom of the funnel efficiencies on branded search. So it all blends out at the end of the day, but I think it does take, taking risks to often see and reap the rewards of a strategy like that.
I think at BioOx we personally really learn a lot directly from our customers, a lot of bottom-up type of information in that type of funnel. And we keep in contact with our customers. So sometimes we would discover that our customers would drink large volumes of our product if they had severe adrenal fatigue or different types of ailments. And so we expanded even into a even higher concentrated product for some extreme cases. So really listening to your customers, and they could provide a roadmap for you for your product development. So that was an interesting find that we saw on our side.